Ladies and gentlemen, grab your tea and get ready for Tea Talk, where the topics are real, relevant, and relaxing. It's Tea Talk time, and here's Lady O.
Well, hello there. Happy Sunday to each of you. I am here today and I'm so excited because we're talking about something that for every year since I can remember has been an exciting time of year. And no, it's not Christmas, but it is back to school time. And, having four children and all my grandchildren, this time of year is very, very exciting for the children. It's like their little eyes light up because they're getting ready to go to the big school. They're getting ready to go to kindergarten or to high school, whatever it is. It's an exciting time in the life of a child. And it's very exciting also for parents because, as you know, we get excited about buying things for our kids for school, our school shoes and school clothes. And who can remember layaway? Who can remember layaway? My son was talking just the other day about how we used to put clothes in layaway at J.C. Penney's and Sears and Wieners. Now, Wieners was my favorite one coming up with my last two boys. But, we just couldn't afford all of the school clothes at once. So we would put them in layaway that summer and we keep paying them down. And then we go get our layaway. And my kids go, Mama, when you going to get my layaway out? And it had, like usually about 5 outfits, at least 3. Sometimes we had 5, but, we would pay on that layaway and go get it out in these big bags. We'd come home and we'd lay out the things that we're going to wear. And we were so excited and just so excited to see our kids get excited. And when I was really young, the thing that kids would worry about, what kind of lunch box are you going to buy for me? Anybody going to date themselves way back then and talk about the lunch box? Because we would carry our lunches to school. Well, nowadays they're talking about, the backpack. And it was, what kind of a backpack are you going to get? A Spider-Man backpack or, princess backpack, whatever kind. All of those things were very, very important. And somebody said they remember Kmart. Okay, y'all going way back, Kmart. But yes, I remember Kmart and Walmart. I never did get to put anything in Walmart's for the school clothes, but Kmart, oh yes, and Wieners. So someone said, boy, I do remember those times. And just bringing those bags home and letting the kids go through all their school clothes and getting them excited for the first day, getting their school supplies, making sure you get the right size pencil and rulers and all these things that the teachers wanted. Those were the worries about what we were going to do for Christmas. I mean, for getting ready to go to school. But as we get ready for school this year, somebody said the right shoes. That's right. You don't want to buy no cheap shoes going to school. But some of our mamas would have bought those Walmart shoes. Come on. Anybody ever get those? What do you call those things that mama never got them for us? But some of the kids would come to school in those white high top shoes. And I forgot what they were called. But now they're real famous. What are those shoes? Chucks or whatever. Anyway, they were awful looking. And we used to have to wear them anyway. My mother did make us wear those penny loafers in the Converse. That was it, Converse. Claire got it. I didn't like those Converse, but hey, that's what Wieners had and Kmart had and everybody had. And we didn't go to private school, so we didn't wear uniforms. But some people, the Mary Janes, Mary Janes too. I wore Mary Janes and what is that other one called? Oh my goodness, I can see it now. But my mom, those were the really nice, expensive shoes. They were Mary Janes were the expensive clothes and the little frilly things we had to wear. But the Buster Browns, oh yes. So y'all's mama spent some money on y'all. Okay, y'all don't have to wear no bad clothes coming to school. But look here, I'm looking at these clothes and y'all's mama spent money on y'all. But you know what? Even though we were quote unquote poor or poor, whatever you want to call it, our mothers went out and bought the best for us. That's why they had to put it in layaway because they could not afford it at one time. And the Jordans, but y'all remember when the Jordans first came out? I was telling my son the other day. I remember when they first came out. Yeah, Stride was those expensive shoes my mother bought. Oh, those were good ones. But when the Jordans came out, My baby son Jordan was a baby. He was about 2 or 3, somewhere like that. And they made him in his size. They were about this big. They were $125 for that little bitty shoe. And I remember buying a pair for him and a pair for Joe, because those were the two youngest ones. I think they were still at home or whatever. But I just remembered that because I was thinking, what in the world? It's not even enough fabric here for $100 something for this child. And he's going to grow. But our parents wanted us to have the best, right? So this was a fun time for parents to go and buy the best for their kids. Because that first day of school, we'd have that Vaseline all over the skin. Y'all remember our parents used to make us, you're not going to school, Ash. They was Vaseline us down, a lotion over us, and get that hair just right. And my mom used to call them bobrettes. The bobrettes just right on your hair. And when you went to school that first day, everybody was looking at you. And everybody was really proud of what, how they looked. And the kids who could not afford it, it was very, very bad because they got made fun of, and they didn't feel good about themselves. So we want to give kudos to our moms. And the only things that our moms had to worry about were these kind of things. But now when I think about going to school this year, people are not worried so much about clothing. I mean, they get the clothing, but that's not number one on their list. Getting the right backpack is not the first thing on their list. Getting the right shoes and uniforms, all of that is not important. And, when we were really getting ready for school, we had to make sure we had our vaccinations in place. So that was important because you couldn't go to school if you didn't have your vaccination. You didn't have your paperwork. If you couldn't bring your card, your immunization card, your proof of residency, all of those things were things that our parents had to do. But now, that's something that is on the list. But at the top of our list now is the well-being of our children. It's COVID-19. That's what parents are talking about now. It's our school district. What is our school district going to mandate? What are our schools going to do to keep our children safe? What is our governor talking about, when he's taking our children and saying, well, you don't have to wear a mask, you don't want to. Let's just take a chance. And not too many people have died, not too many kids are sick. But when I look at not too many kids being sick, I think they said 50 or something. 50 is 50 parents. That could be you. That could be me. That could be my child, my grandchild. And that's one too many. And I always, as a teacher, I cared about all children, not just mine. I didn't want mine to be sick either, but I definitely cared about what happened to my neighbor's kids. I definitely cared what happened to the poor kids. I always had that empathy, and really that's what Christ wants us to do, to care about one another. He said, love your neighbor as yourself. So if it's happening to your child, then it's happening to my child. So I should care about what happens and what's done. So I have been really with mixed emotions about this going back to school. And truth be told, a lot of parents are having mixed emotions. Last year, we had the choice of going through virtual, where the kids had to stay at home and pretty much teach themselves because the teachers were trying to do all of these things. The poor teachers, oh my goodness, and I used to be a teacher, so my heart goes out for these teachers. I mean, you're trying to teach kids who are coming to the computer, half dressed, no cereal, mother's gone to work, and you're trying to teach them. It's just been really crazy. So now we're going back this year. And the big issue this year is we really honestly thought, I thought that we would be further down the road. I thought really COVID would be gone. I don't know. How about you guys? Did y'all think COVID would still be here another school year? I just really thought the vaccinations are out there. We've been really being very good about washing our hands and wearing our mask and doing all this. So surely we're not going to have to worry about this for the school year. But the reality is they say it's getting worse. And it's getting worse because people don't trust the government. They don't trust what people are saying about the vaccine, so they're not getting it. And now we're getting it where people are getting COVID and they're saying to the people in the hospital, I wish I could have gotten the shot. I wish I knew. Can I get it now? And they're saying, no, it's too late. And the other thing is that children now are getting it from their parents. They're getting it from their friends. They're getting it from who knows where. Because when you don't have people wearing masks, then that means that anybody you come in contact with could give it to you. And where they was their sister not tracing, it could have come from somebody being at their cousin's house the weekend before that came from out of town. It could be from somebody, at the park who's not wearing a mask. It could be from anywhere and they're not even tracing it. Why would they not want to trace it? That's what gets me. And this is what really bothers me. Cheryl said there's an eighth grader in Mississippi that just died yesterday after testing positive, an eighth grader. And we've had a lot of young people that we know that have caught it. And some of them have really had a very bad situation with it where they've had to be put on ventilators and all those kind of things because the hospitals are filling up. And another thing I want to say real quickly, because we're going to talk about this from other parents to see what their thoughts are and other educators. But my heart goes out for the doctors and the nurses that are having to deal with this. People are coming in and they are tested positive and they want help, but they didn't get the vaccine, but now they're wanting help. And you got to help them, right? So that puts the nurse in jeopardy, right? It also puts not only the nurse in jeopardy, but when she goes home, it puts her family in jeopardy. And anybody that's related to her family puts them in that jeopardy. So it's not fair, when you talk about your rights. If it were not a matter of life and death, we could talk about rights. But when you're talking about my child getting sick because you don't want your child to wear a mask, I got a problem with that because that could cause my child to get very sick and get COVID, or it could cause my child to even die. I mean, we're talking about some life and death things here, guys. We got to grow up. The thing that gets me just really, really upset about it is these children have no option but to let the adults make decisions for them. And so if the adults are making decisions, but they're fighting like little children and bringing politics into this has got to stop. So anyway, I'm just really upset about it. But one of the things that I did do is I really prayed about it. And so there's some things that are happening. I spoke up about it and I also prayed about it. And so some things are changing because when we first heard a couple of weeks ago, they were saying that the judge was saying that whatever you want to do it. If you don't want to wear them, you don't have to wear them. If you want to wear them, you wear them, whatever. And then they were holding the school boards hostage. So I thought that the school boards dictated what happened in the school district, which is what it's supposed to be, because it's a public school. It's public education. It's not political school. It's not politics, Democrat or Republican. It's public school. So therefore, I thought that they had the governing body with the school boards and the superintendent making the decisions. But no, we heard that the governor makes the decisions and tells the school districts, the school board, and the superintendent what they will do. And then it's threatening to defund schools. You're talking about defunding the police. This is horrible. Defunding the schools means they're taking away, if they mandate the mass safety for these children, that they're going to take the superintendent's salary away. When Cy-Fair, they don't get paid anything for what they do, so no salary. But they're talking about taking the principal, everybody's school, the children's funding is going to be snatched up by the governor. Now, you tell me that that's right. Come on, governor, what are you thinking? Our children are not for sale, and they are not a political pawn. And we're going to have to stand up and let them know that. So some people are going and speaking up. And so I'm hearing that they are doing some changes. Now, the county judge, thank God, issued a mask mandate, but the governor is still standing his ground saying, if you do, I'm defunding the schools. So we need our money for our children, and that's something that he should not be doing. So we're going to ask every district here that's represented what they know about what's going on in their district so we can inform you. Now, Cy-Fair ISD, I hear, is waiting on to see what happens with the governor's appeal, because the governor has appealed. So the county judge has said masks are mandated. Everybody wear masks. Teachers wear masks. counselors, everybody in the school, children wear a mask. That's what the county judge has said. And this is based upon science about what's happening to our children. And so CIFARSD is waiting to make its ruling to see what the governor's appeal, because the governor appealed it and said wants to get that overruled, the county judge. So there's a fighting going on there politically. Okay. So right now, the mask and CIFAR, they are suggested and they're voluntary, but they're not mandated. So we're waiting to hear. So I'm just praying and I'm speaking up and I'm saying and I just want to applaud Dallas ISD and Florida, the one in Florida, that they went against the judge's ruling. Yes. Because money is not more important than our children's lives. Yes. I mean, if you get that and our children die, what good is the money gonna make for me or for the superintendent if his grandchild dies? Okay, so it's very, very important for us to stand up for what we believe against something that we know is wrong, and this governor is wrong for this. When you come dealing with our children, you're gonna get a fight. So let's talk about what's happening in the other districts. So glad to have my team here, and so Aldine, you want to go first? What's going on, Aldine?
Well, we have good afternoon, everyone. So glad to be here. So in Aldine, we just received a message from our superintendent that August 16th, Monday, tomorrow, we will have on masks. Everyone will have on a mask. Teachers, staff, students will have on masks, and we're just actually resorting back to what we did this time last year. So she sent it out late. We were waiting on her. We were wondering what was going to happen, but it is indeed true that we will be wearing masks on Monday.
And all day. Praise the Lord. Yay! Yay! To hear from Angela. Angela's been really following this very closely for us too. And so Angela says that Ken Paxton and Governor Abbott lost their appeals on Friday and are now taking this to the Texas Supreme Court. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Does he not have anything else to do but to fight to defund our schools and to put our children's lives at stake? Does he not have anything else better to do? How about fixing our grid? Okay.
Yes. How about focus on that? Yeah.
Yeah. Get a life and leave our children alone. Leave our administrators and our principals and let them do education. Oh my God. Okay, so we got to pray on that. Okay, what about who else is represented? HISD. What's HISD saying?
Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. Okay, I'm HISD, and we also have the mask mandate for campus. Anybody who visits the campus must have a mask on, and you must have a pre-scheduled appointment. You can't just come to the campus. Parents can't just walk on the campus, and you must have your mask. And also for elementary students, since they're not allowed to get the vaccination, they're asking that when they come in, they do a temperature check for the children before they come on the campus, and they make sure that they have their mask. So, we do have that part. So we're doing pretty good so far.
Good. Good for you, because you guys are one of the ones that kind of stood up first and said, like San Antonio and HIC said, we're not having a governor. They stood up to the governor. So that is great. And I see here in the comments, who was that said a minute ago, it's time for us. It said, Marsha Washington says they are crazy. It's time to vote them all out. If you're not going to care about my child, I'm going to remember that when it comes time to vote for you. And I'm going to be putting somebody in there who really does care about children. You can fight about other stuff and I get upset, but when you start messing with children, I get really upset. And I want to kind of roll up my sleeves here and just do whatever I can to help children out, because they depend on adults. Right. They depend on mature, intelligent adults. And this is not maturity and it's not intelligence. Okay, let me get off of that. Who else we got here? We got
Shelly.
Kelly, where are you from?
Shelly. This is Shelly.
Shelly.
My school district is Spring ISD.
Thank you.
Initially, Spring ISD, when we returned to school, when the teachers returned to school on August the 4th, the superintendent said that the masks were voluntary and we did not have to wear them. And I was very concerned about that. We even had meetings with teachers, like 50 teachers in a room, and some people had on masks and some people didn't. And then we had a meeting at Westfield High School with like 200 teachers, and again, people were seated next to each other, and some people had on masks and some people didn't. Well, after the board meeting on Monday, August 10th, the board voted that the mask will be mandatory because of the uptick in cases and the uptick in hospitalizations. So as of August 16th, just like Aldine and HISD, all teachers, students, staff must wear a mask. And I'm very happy about that because I felt very unsafe being around people that didn't have masks on, because we don't know. We don't know, who has the virus, who might not have it. It's just very uncomfortable. So I'm very happy that they mandated the mask for Spring ISD as well.
Good. Are any other districts represented here?
No, that's it.
Okay, very good. And Shelley, too, while you were talking about that, I know that you are also a teacher there. So what are the teachers thinking, or what kind of advice can you give to the teachers? Because I can just imagine if I were still teaching and I'm into a meeting, or my neighbor next door does not have a mask on, it would not be a happy semester with me and that coworker.
Exactly. Well, what I would, for teachers, I recommend, even if the principal or the school district is not mandating it, that the children, be sure that the children are spaced out. Our classrooms are typically small, so we can't separate the desks 6 feet apart, but we can do at least 3 feet or 1 feet, or, think outside the box. Maybe have one desk closer to the front and then push the other ones back. Just be creative in your thinking and not have those children sitting on top of each other. I think that's very important. And I think also that we used to have small groups of children where the teacher would be on one side of the table and maybe 3 to 5 students would be on the other side. I say don't do that either. I say you can still have them in groups, but they need to be sitting in their own desk, so that they're not right on top of each other or right next to each other. So I recommend that, and I recommend that reminding children, please keep your mask over your whole face. It does not go under your nose. It needs to be from your nose to your chin. And I have to say it several times, but I keep saying it. And I keep reminding the students that this is a pandemic. This is very serious. And I have a student that lost his aunt and uncle to COVID last year. And he's still crying about it. He was crying about it on Thursday. So it's very serious, and they have to, I know they hear it from their parents, but it doesn't hurt to reiterate it with them in the classroom as well.
Well, you're saying they hear it from their parents, but here's the deal. Somebody's computer needs to be turned down. But here's the deal. A lot of the parents are saying what the governor is saying. I don't want my child to be wearing a mask. I think it's against my rights, and I think I should have to whatever. So some of these kids will be coming from their homes and saying the same kind of stuff their parents are saying and thinking the same way that their parents are saying. So, I agree, but then you will probably have during this year a parent come up to you and get in your face and say, you told my child to put on a mask. And I've had angry parents before. I don't know if y'all have ever had it. Look here.
Yes, plenty. I've had plenty of angry parents.
Yeah, I agree with that. You need to keep them at home, homeschool them, but they won't. They will go ahead and think that they can infect whomever, or they haven't got it or whatever. And until it actually happens to their child or somebody, they still won't believe. They think it's a hoax. Yeah. So,
well, Lady O, in HISD, they're trying to put in a non-compliance rule.
Okay, what is that?
If the child does not want to wear the mask or does not wear the mask and there's an issue, then the parent will be called in and, consequence. And if they continue to do it, I don't know if they can do it legally, but they're going to try to remove the child from the class.
Okay, if they refuse to wear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's, I think I shared this last week. Or I shared it with someone. I was coming back home on the plane, and there was this group of people, and they were just not going to wear it. So when the stewardess would come by, they would push it up. When she walked by, they pull it down up under their nose. And then when he said, "Everybody buckle your seats, all flight attendants be seated," they just pulled it down. And I think it should be a fine. I think it should be cameras. And if you caught, just like with those red lights, and you caught with it off, then you get a fine. Make them pay money, then expel them. I think it needs to be something, because these children should not have to be policing these kids like this. But when you start hitting people in their pocketbook, they might listen. But if the warnings, it's like this guy on the plane was saying, like, warn me. What are you going to do? Throw me out in midair? You're going to, land the plane? So they already know it's going to be hard. So speaking of that, what you just said about children having loved ones die around them, the emotional part of it, the children not really understanding death at this age, and seeing it and experiencing it, and coming to school, the emotional thing of knowing that they could get it, and they too could die. What kind of things, Deborah, I know you work with mental health, and what kind of mental health issues, you and Tracy, whoever wants to answer that question about mental health of our children and our teachers even as well?
Well, one of the things I will say, we started the show off talking about traditionally what our concerns or worries are. And now our worries are, is my child safe? How many months or years behind is my child now because of the gap in the virtual learning and the campus learning? So we have a snowball of things that we're worried about right now. And kids are not always going to come out and tell you, I'm struggling. So I think as adults, we have to keep that open door of communication and check on them. We have to be intentional about checking on them and asking them, how was your day? How did things go? And really having a conversation, because typically kids just kind of bottle it in and they act it out in other ways. Many of our kids have experienced death. They've seen family members sick. They're worried about themselves being sick. And even the ones that are taking the mask off, they're doing it because their friends are doing it, but they're still scared.
Yeah.
So we, as the adults in the room, the adults at home, we have to make sure we're looking at them, reading their body language. Even though they're saying, I'm fine, what does their body say? If those kids are going in their rooms and closing the door and they're being antisocial, they're wearing I've even seen kids wear the same clothes over and over and over. I mean, they're so depressed.
That's true. And the masks too. Sometimes the masks are filthy, and it's like they worn them for a year.
Yes, the masks are filthy.
Yeah.
But we have masks. We have disposable masks to give them.
The teachers do.
Theirs is dirty, or if they don't have.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we just have to look for those signs of depression, those signs of anxiety, and help pull them through it. Sometimes it's easy as talking through it and talking to them about educating them on COVID and how to take care of themselves. Making sure that mask is on, making sure you're washing your hands, making sure you're aware of your surroundings. If your friends are too close on you, you're going to, hey, back up a little bit. But just constantly talking to your students, your children, and hearing them out about their concerns. Because, we have a lot of people making this a political matter. My freedoms, where do your freedoms end and my start? Because I have the right to be safe.
Right.
And I tell my son that you have the right to be safe. You have that right. So speak your truth. When your friends are around you and they're talking about their rights, tell them your rights.
Tell them your rights. Yes.
Yeah. So we have a right to be emotionally well, and COVID is making us nervous and anxious.
Yes.
We have a right to be advocates for our own emotional health.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, this thing puts us in a situation where you just have no choice. I mean, you either lock up in the house and never, ever go out, never let anybody come in. And so I was even feeling the guilty thing. My grandchildren just went to the daycare 1 week, and they come back, they both got colds, and sinus and stuff like that. And I don't know, my thing is like, okay, I'm hoping it's just sinus or whatever. You just don't know. But anyway, and then the different things that the symptoms, they're different now. You know, they're not like they were the first time. And sometimes they're not even having symptoms. So, you know, we had kind of really, I know for us, we really let our guard down, and we've got our children coming in and out, grandchildren coming in and out, because we just missed them so much. And we really thought it was about over. But now it's like, are we getting ready to have to go back to lockdown where we can't see our grandchildren anymore? And we're in the house? And I'm wondering, it might be that because people have gotten so lax now. They're out to eat, they're out shopping, they're doing everything like nothing's going on. And I have let my guard down too. So, but I have the vaccination. I think that's another thing. The vaccination, we are thinking that we're safe, and they're telling us that even if you have the vaccination, you still may get it.
Yes.
That's right.
So,
Yes.
I don't know. So anybody, let's see, Angela, you're on. You want to talk about virtual learning? I think Cyfair is going to offer virtual learning. Are you on the phone? I know you said you might not be able to sign in. There she is. Hi, Angela. Thanks for signing in. I know this is a busy day for you. So what else can you tell us? To those that don't know, Angela works with TMO, and it has nothing to do with politics. It has all to do with helping people with their rights and to be able to be informed. So I've asked her to really help me out, to help keep me informed, because there's so many different changes. So Angela, thank you for coming on. What would you like to share with us today? We want to hear from you.
Well, thank you, Lady O, for having me. As far as the virtual learning aspect, I saw a question in the chat. I think it was Cheryl who had asked about virtual learning. It's my understanding that last year, virtual learning was funded by the government, had monies that were given for COVID relief that went towards virtual learning. Apparently, there was a bill before the legislators that would have funded it again for this year. Unfortunately, that bill did not pass. And then the bill that did pass actually restricted the TEA's ability to implement funding for virtual learning. So unfortunately, what's happening as well is the school districts previously were allowed to take students that were virtual and count them towards their attendance. It's my understanding that this year they will not be able to do that. So the schools are not only not getting money from the government to help with virtual learning, but then the students that are online are not going towards their daily attendance counts.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because there's so many different things that are being withheld, and they're withheld not from the school district, they're being withheld from the governor. And one of them is that bill that did not pass, and it's to help with the virtual learning. And my understanding, there was a lot of money, I can't remember how much it was, that was given to the districts to be able to do the sanitation and the little separations and the virtual learning and computers and all of those things. There was a lot of money that went to the districts to do that, but the governor has blocked it. Am I right, Pastor? Help me out. I don't want to be speaking wrong.
Yes, that's correct.
Cyfair is offering you virtual from K to 6. And Pastor, where's that money coming from? If it's not coming from the governor, is it money we had left over? So other funding. So go ahead, Angela, finish yours. I want to just jump in there and get that, just to say that I wanted people to understand why we don't have the fundings for certain things. Pastor's saying that they're going to be able to fund K through 5th grade virtual learning. And I don't know if that's leftover funding. I don't know. So I wouldn't say, but I do know that what I've heard is that a lot of the laws and the money is being withheld by the governor. Now tell me if I'm right or wrong on that.
That is correct. As Pastor mentioned, there is funding that's left over from before. There were, I think it was $13 billion that was sent as part of the COVID relief package, and some of that monies has been disseminated to the various school districts for the districts to use as they see fit. But then other monies are being withheld. And with the governor implementing his executive order, he's tying the hands of the districts to be able to do what they think is best for their students. My sister works in the district, and I asked her about what things were in place, and she said a lot of the measures they had last year, they're not able to do this year. As far as the virtual learning, as Pastor said, the funds are going to be there for K through, I believe it's either 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah, he said 6.
Because those students aren't able to get a vaccine. So that's the reason why they're able to, I guess, get people on board to approve them having the virtual learning for those students as long as the counts are, as high as they are. But you have other students who are immunocompromised or have other reasons or issues as to why they're not comfortable being on campus, and that option isn't available to them, which is why the Harris County judge, Judge Hidalgo, and the Fort Bend County judge, KP George, both put forth lawsuits challenging the governor's executive order. And then he appealed, and those appeals were denied as of Friday. So now he and Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, are taking it directly to the Texas Supreme Court to try to get that overturned. Meanwhile, we have teachers, administrators, students who are at risk, and the U.S. Secretary of Education has come out and said, addressed the governor directly and said that he is putting the schools at risk because of his executive order. That was an article that was in the Texas Tribune. I believe it was either yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, and the thing that is really, like I said before, that bothers me is that politics have come into play when it comes to our children, and that is so unfair. Our children should not be like pawns, chess pawns, being moved, because what the deal is, and what I understand, and Angela, I know you've got more insight into some of this, and some of you other may too, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I know the Democrats who went to Washington, they went because the governor was trying to get voting laws in here that would give them complete control over who gets in office. Okay, so you'll have to look in that and get a little bit more deeper. We'll have to have a show on that to kind of explain it fully. But so therefore, it's like they're holding each other hostage. The Democrats are saying, we're not going to let you do that to us, because if you do that to us, it means we're going to lose our positions, because the way they've got it set up, they're suppressing the votes. They're doing all kind of other things. And then they've got some laws in there that says that, the governor can overturn something, or somebody, other positions can say if they thought the election wasn't fair, they can throw that out and put somebody in there who they think. And so we're going to be talking about that to make sure that we are definitely knowledgeable about every little pieces. But these are things that I'm hearing, that what the problem is, until the Democrats allow them to have their say about our voting suppression, until they let them do that, they're not releasing the money. So how do you hold us hostage, our children hostage, their lives hostage, for a voting rights thing that has nothing to do with our children and the health and the money that's been given to our children to help in this situation of COVID? So I want the people to know that they're playing political chess with our children because of the Democrats leaving to not want to give them the quorum that they needed to vote in the stuff that they wanted voted in. So let's talk about that. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong.
Lady O, you are on point with that. With the voter suppression bills that they're trying to pass through the legislature, the Democrats needed to pull out, as you said. They walked out. They went to DC so that the quorum is not there, which is they have to have so many legislators that are in session in order for a bill to be heard, let alone voted on. So as long as they don't have a quorum, they can't move forward. But as part of the bills that they're trying to pass, they are putting in wording that would allow them to, as long as they think there is a possibility of voter fraud or anything of that nature, then they can overturn the election results. So by doing so, that would allow them to, in essence, if they disagree with how it turned out, whether actual fraud is, there's evidence of actual fraud, they could overturn the election so that they will forever be in office, in power. The other side of it is the Democrats are, by not being present, the governor also vetoed the part of the budget that would pay them. So they're not getting paid. Their staffs aren't getting paid. But their reasoning for going to DC is to impress upon Congress to step in and do something so that the Republicans here cannot push that through, that agenda through. The fact that they're using the funding for the schools and those types of things as leverage against the Democrats, saying that if you won't come back and give us the quorum that we need, then we're going to withhold funding or we're going to do these other things is appalling.
Yeah.
But that is what's being discussed as their position to try to force the Democrats to come back.
Right.
And they also have issued, if you're not aware of this, they've issued arrest warrants for the Democrats so that if they do come back to the state of Texas and are not on the floor of the House, then they will be arrested. Now, one Democrat did go before a judge, take his case before a judge, and was issued a temporary restraining order against being arrested, but they're also trying to fight that.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's a mess.
It's a mess. And I'm sad to say, this is something we should not be discussing at the beginning of school. We're talking about our children going to school, and they have pulled the politics into it, where this voting thing and the things that are going on in Austin has trickled down to now they're suppressing the authorities and the abilities of our school board and our superintendent to do the right thing by protecting our district. Even if they know that's the right thing to do, they're saying, we're going to take away your salary. We're going to take away the funding from your school, and we know we need that money. So the money is there. Billions of dollars have been put there for COVID, but we can't get it because people are blaming the Democrats. And to a point, that it is the Democrats, if they were there, then the Republicans would release the money. But why are you holding it up because of something like this? I mean, you can hold it up for other things, but not our children, not our babies. So I don't. We're going to talk more about that later, but I'm just saying that we have got to be, as Sister Cheryl says, we have got to be on our knees praying. We got to not only pray, we got to watch, fight, and pray. When I was growing up, you know, they used to tell us, you just can't pray. You got to keep your eyes open. They said, keep your eyes open while you're praying, you know, and learn what's going on. And then you got to fight. You just can't let people do what have their way with you, especially when it comes to your kids. I just don't. So anyway, so we're talking today, guys, about, you know, going back to school and what it should be and the times we remembered it to be, and now to this point of facing this. So ladies, what other things are you all concerned with, or do you have any other tidbits that might help? Angela, thank you so much for sharing that with the information with us so we will understand, because a lot of people were mad at the school board. It's not the school board. It's your governor. You know, you need to know who's doing stuff. So when we get ready to vote, you know, then you can choose. like I said, because we don't tell you who to vote for, but you want to vote for people who support you and support your children, I would think. Okay. So we've got to get to the bottom of this and learn more so that we can get in there and talk intelligently, and that we know what's going on. See, a lot of times things have happened, guys, in our past to us that we knew about it after it was done. Oh, that law passed? When did that come in? Well, things that are being done behind closed doors in the wee hours of night, we got to learn about what it is, and we got to speak up. But if you don't know, you can't speak up. So we're going to be giving you more information about that. But I really wanted to see if our teachers could give anything to encourage, or to whether it's encouraging teachers, administrators, parents, students. Do you have anything else you can give to share?
I just, as I said, just make sure the kids come, make sure they're not sick. If they're sick, keep them home, but make sure they're there. Make sure, I know it's hard, make sure we try to make it as positive for them as we can.
Right.
That's going to be
Sister Claire,
hard.
do you have a procedure when your children come in that you make sure that they're not sick? Do y'all have temperature? How do you gauge if a child is sick or not? If they're not feeling good?
Once you get to the building, everybody's temperature is checked. Okay. And if the temperature, I think is 99 or 100, I'm not exactly sure where it is, they tell a parent, take them home. So they're not allowing. And then the teachers have to call in and check in also. If we're sick, if we're having symptoms or anything, we have to also check in.
Do y'all check y'all's temperature, teachers?
Yes, we have to do it.
We did last year in spring, but this year they're saying no, we do not have to have a temperature check. That's what I
heard, that the teachers don't have to. I heard the teachers don't have to take temperatures anymore. They don't have to report. If somebody in their child has COVID, they don't report it.
Yeah, but they're telling us
they have to
call in. Yeah, I'm not sure if they stopped it, but the last memo I got from our principal says we're going to be checking in also. I'm sorry, not from the board, is that we're going to be checking in.
Okay.
So I'm hoping it still stays like that.
Yeah, I was thinking. I know when we went back in church, we had a procedure. And one of the things that was a big thing was when they came in that they did sanitizing their hands. Mm-hmm. And I know little kids, they touch everything and they want to bring everything to you. So when they come into the building, if they are temperatures checked and their hands are sanitized, or what?
We have sanitizing stations also. I'm sorry. We have sanitizing stations also throughout the school.
Is it mandatory or is it?
Yes, when they go outside, if they're passing, we tell them, if they're coming from outside or going outside, we tell them clean your hands. So the stations are at the doors. Mm-hmm. And when my kids come in class, I have mine at the door. Put some in your hand before we go to lunch. Put it in your hand, clean up before you go to lunch. So just, little things like that, and try to remember, teach the children how to wash their hands really good and not to share anything. Please tell them don't share with other children.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do because these little kids, you teach them to share, and now we're telling them don't share. Right. They're like, I thought you said share. Sharing is caring.
Yeah.
But when my students come to me, I pick them up from their classes. I bring them to my classroom. I have the hand sanitizer by the door, and I tell them as soon as you come in, use a hand sanitizer. And when they leave, I wipe down the desk. I might not do it when they leave, but by the end of the day, I wipe off all the desks because we were given sanitizing wipes by the district. Mm-hmm. So I wiped down the desk, the doorknobs, and I gave every child their own bag with the materials and supplies that they need. So they're not sharing the supplies.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, that's hard. That is really, really hard because now the teachers are not only teaching, now they're sanitizing the building and they're patrolling, whatever. And I know there's probably one teacher in every school building that does not believe in this.
Yeah.
And so that means that they probably won't have their children wiping their hands or doing the things. So who's patrolling the teachers to make sure that the children are doing what they're supposed to do?
Yes.
It's tough. So Tracy, what do you have to say anything about mental health, or because I know as a parent, already as a grandparent, I'm like kind of like I said, I feel really guilty for not staying at home and keeping all my grandkids, but then they're saying you can't do that. I'm just, as a parent, you feel guilty for sending your child to school.
The thing is just keeping that, like I said earlier, keeping the communication open with your child, talking to them, gauging, looking at them, paying attention to their body language. And for parents, prayer, 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 and advocate.
Yes. Mhm.
Advocate for your child. When there's something going on at the school, we pay a lot of money in taxes.
Mhm.
So when there's something going on inside there, I'm gonna advocate. I'm gonna tell my, I'm gonna take care of mine. So advocate, because they'll tell you, well, he don't have to do that. Well, he's going to wear a mask. He's going to do that. And y'all make sure you have the necessary PPE and protocols in place so that he can be safe.
Right. And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that advocate thing, because another thing that I noticed here in Cy-Fair, parents who are really not wanting the mask, they're at the school board by the droves, and they're making making it seem like Cy-Fair wants this. And I know the majority of Cy-Fair parents are not that way, and they don't want to have it that way, but it looks like it. So one of the things, you don't want to go to the school board and get into a fight, because some of them are very violent. But I would say one of the things that I did ask when we went to Austin not too long ago, they said, write letters, email, write. You like to write stuff, get on there, email, send. Find out who your people are that, because the lady told me in Austin, she said they have to keep every letter that comes in. We had to sign in to say we came to speak to whoever it was and what it was about. So she said that when they are ready to make decisions, they do look at that. And if they got a whole bunch of them, so I would say you could start a writing campaign to write to your particular. Everybody needs to be writing to the governor. I don't know if he will do it or not, but I think you still need to write to him. I think you need to go visit up there. I think we need to all get up to Austin, and we need to get on the steps and say this, get message to the governor, make some signs, protest. You got to make your voice known, and it's just not at the local level where it's in your school building, but you need to go beyond, because the people in your school building don't control anything, and now we know the school boards don't control anything. So what does that leave? Our governor is really controlling it. So once you know who can make changes, I think you need to kind of, you need to say something to them. And of course, at the time when it comes to vote, that's the biggest letter you can do, is to make sure that you vote for that person who's going to hear you and who's going to represent and take care of your children. Since our children, I didn't know the governor had that much power over our school boards. And I've been teaching for years. I did not know that. And I feel really embarrassed to say that, but I didn't know. I thought TEA and TSEA, all of that. I don't know. What about you other teachers? Did y'all know the governor had that much power? Y'all
No,
did?
I didn't. I did not. I didn't understand that. I was thinking the school board.
Yeah.
The school board and the, working along with the superintendent.
The superintendent, yeah.
But I didn't know.
When TEA got quiet and basically stopped giving their recommendation, I knew. I said that's powerful when the governor can stop TEA from putting out any more correspondence about COVID.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now we know better. We have to do better, right? So anything else, ladies? I'm hoping and praying we're gonna have a prayer at the end of this for our school year, for our children. And I do know that prayer changes things. I do know that. But I also know that faith without works is dead. You gotta do something too. And even in the Bible days, there were times when there was a time to take a stand. And if there was ever a time that I would want to take a stand about anything, it would be a stand about our children. I mean, they're so innocent.
Yeah.
I mean, you got grown-ups playing footsie in politics with our children's lives. Oh, we cannot be quiet. We cannot be silent. So we'll be looking out for more opportunities too, to see when we do want to go up to Austin and not to be ugly or whatever, but to make our stance known, to show them that we've got power in our vote. Okay, if that's all you understand is vote, okay, well then we got power in our vote. Hear this: we will not stand for it, and so we cannot get you to hear us now. You will hear us later. Okay. And I don't want y'all to ever forget. That's what my thing is going to be this time for voting. I will not forget. I have not forgotten. Okay. So anybody else have anything they want to share with the parents or the teachers, administrators, or
I did.
go ahead.
I wanted to share with teachers to be sure to take care of yourself. Be
Yeah.
sure that you are doing things to protect your mental health,
Oh my.
whether it's exercising, meditation, prayer. And I shared this with the teacher on Friday because she was telling me the number of students that she had, the number of special needs kids that she had in her class, and she's teaching all subjects in the 5th grade. So she's
Wow.
responsible for math, reading, science, and that's very difficult because they take the STAR tests, those 3 STAR tests in 5th grade. So I looked at her and I told her, I said, be sure you're taking care of yourself. Be sure that you are taking time to take care of your mental health. So
Mm.
I want to say that with teachers here as well. Take care
Wow.
of you, because if you're not taking care of you, you can't, you can't teach.
Exactly, exactly. Well, we're going to close out in prayer. I just see Angela Martin Greer just said again, there's no term limit on the governor. He can keep getting reelected for the rest of his life. So you can understand why the voting suppression and the voting control is very important to him. And so the only way we can do is make sure he doesn't get reelected. But, sometimes they have 4 terms and that's it. You can't run anymore. He can run the rest of his life as long as he gets reelected. So he's got to make sure everything's in place to make sure he continues to get reelected. So that's why this is going on, guys. But listen, our time is up. Amen. Tatum said he will lose in the name of Jesus. Hallelujah. So we want to pray for our people now. Our time is up. And want to thank y'all for joining. Just spread the word. Can everybody share the video with somebody else? Teachers, because you can see the teachers don't even know sometimes what's going on. Share with the parents. They can kind of understand the school board a little bit more, that their hands are tied. It's all in the hands of the governor, and we have to really, so they're holding out this voting thing, which is holding up money. But if they don't, it's going to all go down anyway, because if they give up the voting thing and then they release the money, then the voting thing is what's going to control us the rest of our lives and impact our children. So we got to get used to that. Okay. So listen, thank you guys for watching today. Thank you for your input. And let's just have a prayer. Continue to pray for our administrators, our teachers, even our custodial staff, our cooks, people that drive the buses, the school boards. Oh my goodness, the school boards are getting attacked left and right. Write some good letters about your school board members. Say something kind to them, because right now, I know my husband's on the school board. He's getting a lot of really negative things said to him and about him. And they've even got him, a lady is running against him. And they're saying some things that are not true, all to get people afraid of this critical race theory and stuff like that, which does not exist. But the whole thing is they want to get him out. So we've got to make sure that we are watching, we're fighting, we're praying, we're spreading the word, and that we make sure that, our school board's under attack, and we will not let politics take over our school board and our school district, and will not, because the school board, they can really get in there and try to control the superintendent. So, it can come around to be something really bad. So don't just look the other way and figure out it'll be okay. It's not going to be okay. If you stay at home and you keep silent now, you will just be in bad trouble later on. It's going to trickle down to our children. Let's pray. Father God, we thank you now for our time together, God, and we just want to lift up our children, God. God, the school is opening up, God, and we have to worry not about layaways being get now, God. We're having to worry about the life of our children, the health of our children, God. And we put our children on the altar, God, and we ask that you protect them from all hurt, harm, and danger. Protect them from COVID, God. Give the teachers and all the people that will be touching our children, give them a conviction, God, of being able to take care and do the right thing by making things clean, making kids wear a mask, God. And God, we just put this thing of COVID on the altar, God, and ask you to heal it, God. You said, God, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray. We are humbling ourselves and praying, God, and we turn from our wicked ways. We turn toward you, God, and ask you, God, protect our teachers, protect our counselors, Protect our administrators. Protect all the people, the bus drivers, God, all the people, the cooks that come in contact with our children, God. And bless every child, God, all the little babies, God. Bless them, God, and protect them and keep them. In the name of Jesus, we pray this prayer and say amen. Amen. All right, let's do our best to make it a happy school year, guys. I'm praying for each of you. I know it's a hard decision, but we've got to give this to the Lord, and we got to do all that we can, and He is going to have the last say. All right, I'll see you next Sunday on Tea Talk, so we'll learn more information. Be good.